And greetings once again, primitive Earthwomans. Welcome to another episode of Kerbal Space Program. Yes, we are back in version 1.1, new version, experimental version, pre-release version. You can enable that by opting into the beta release in your Steam. You don't have to do anything special to get access to this. I do recommend taking the entire KSP folder of your 1.05 version and just copying it over somewhere else if you want to save that version and not have it overwritten. I think you could switch back and forth between them anyway. But yes, I've been playing quite a bit off camera, trying to get this version of my save file, pretty close to where I was in the normal series. I might just continue with this version of the game for my Let's Play series here, as I pretty much got it roughly to the same point. If we check our missions archives, yes, I've done a whole bunch of stuff. I've done all the basic stuff. I've done a bunch of ferry some passengers. I even ferried one to a moon flyby. We did fly by the moon. I did actually get a satellite in orbit around the moon, the E11 moon, and did a couple of satellites. I did do maybe just one polar orbit satellite. We can do some more in the future if we want, and a whole bunch of tests and things like that. And I've done some rescue missions, which is a thing I would like to do in this one. I have selected we've got a flyby Minmus too, which is a thing I went ahead and added into the queue. We've got I think I don't know if there's any specific amount of time to complete this, and we can pretty much complete it whenever. A lot of these things you want to, you notice it'll expire in 4 hours, blah, blah, blah. But you've got a duration, 9 years, whatever, to complete the mission. So, if you want to accept these missions, you can go ahead and accept them before they expire. And that expiration date is just when they're taken out of the queue. And that's Kerbal days, not real days. So, we've got to rescue Megadith Kerman from orbit. We have to rescue him because he has the most largest dith of all Kerbans, which is why he's called Megadith. Whatever a dith is, I don't know. He's got a really big one, so we better get him back to Kerman so he can talk with the Kerman Book of World Records about the size of his dith. So we're going to be doing that. Otherwise, yes, we've unlocked all kinds of science. Went through a different priorities here than I did in my other one. We've right now got about 85 science. I think I'm probably going to go for advanced electronics next, so we can get the big unfolding photovoltaic panels and things like that, and do better satellites and things like that. The way I unlocked a whole lot of that is we did, of course, a couple of moon flybys, but some new parts now in Kerbal Space Program version 1.1. And as we can see, one of the parts that I really like is this new sort of landing gear here, retractable landing gear, which is pretty cool. Works real nice. It's steerable, so I was able to put a couple of those guys on. This is my new improved version of the Science rover, nice and low to the ground, so our Kerbal can get out of the door and get back in without having to jump and climb and doing all those tricky things. It's pretty tough to do it with the MK1 command pod. You either have to have a ladder on the side, or you have to turn the thing sideways so you can reach the door. A little more expensive with this here MK1 cockpit as $1250 versus the $600, but you get it back. And just 3 of everything on the experiments here: thermometer, barometer, mystery glue, and the materials study. Do 3 of each in every zone, and that's of course what I did. I took that sucker and drove to each of these kind of hexagons here is its own biome, and plus the the grassy plains biome and things like that. I even built a little plane and flew over here. You can see this little thing just on the horizon. You can see that kind of line there. There's an abandoned airfield over there. Yeah, go check that out. Maybe we'll do that in a future episode. But today, I think what I want to do is I want to rescue that Kerbal from orbit. We're going to rescue Megadith and bring his Megadith back home. And what we're going to use Rescue 1 is a rocket I've already designed for this, because I've done like 5 of these already. As we can see, when we go to crew, we can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Kerbals I've done already. I rescued the hell out of When we get to about a dozen of these guys, we're going to have to upgrade our astronaut complex in order to have more Kerbals. So we can see right now, we've got a capacity of 12 active Kerbals. Speaking of upgrades, I've upgraded everything here at least once. I think I've done maybe 2 upgrades on the VAB to get that to support 255 parts. We're going to want to upgrade our launch pad pretty soon before we want to build bigger rockets, but a couple of upgrades here on the research center. You want to get to the point where Kerbals can do EVAs and collect surface samples. That gives you more science, and more science unlocks more things in the tech tree quicker. Same thing over here. You want to at least get to the upgrade. I think it's maybe the second upgrade that gives you this here. Kerbals can perform EVAs. You want them to be able to do EVAs in orbit. That lets you get more science and so forth. And you want to at least get to the point where you've got patched conics visible in the map over here. That lets you do the, set up your maneuvers and use the node system and all that to set up maneuvers and stuff like that. Very importante. Mission control, I upgraded that once so we can get to 7 simultaneous contracts. That's not real important, however. And space plane hangar, yeah, I think the next grade gives you more than 30 parts. We didn't need that, though. Our science rover has something like 28 parts, and you want to probably upgrade your runway so it's a little bit smoother to roll around with your science rover. So, groovy. Let's go rescue a Megadith. And we've got a rocket here. Let's check our staging. This is a pretty simple rocket, really. We've just got a Probodobodyne, which is actually going to be flying the rocket up there because we're sending an empty capsule up there to rescue our Kerbal. We're going to rendezvous with his derelict ship up there, and he's going to do an EVA, get out of his ship, and he's going to get into this, and he's going to fly this home. So I like to throw a couple extra solar panels on there just so the reaction wheels and the RCS system doesn't run out of juice with all the maneuvering you do. It's got a heat shield on it. It's pretty much, that's the part that's coming home, just the top part. So we only really need just the one parachute there. It's not too heavy. We've got, I think, what have we got here? We've got our T400 fuel tank and our Terrier engine. That's going to be our orbital part there. We've got 4 more T400s down here, and we've got a swivel engine and a couple of hammers for SRBs here to get us up and off the pad. I think we're going to have to move this guy down here, make sure our staging is good. All of these guys we want to fire down here, then we want to decouple. We want to decouple the launch stage there, and then fire our Terrier for orbital maneuvering and such. Then when it's time to come back home, and after we do our deorbital burn, we want to decouple that, and we just want to fire off that parachute when the time comes. So groovy. Crew, we want to remove Megadith Kerman from it, and we want to send this up with no crew. This is basically just an automated probe right now. And okay, we will save that sucker and head on out to the launch pad. Now, since we're going to do a rendezvous, we're going to switch to our map right here. And see, that's us sitting on the pad, and here's Megadith coming around here. He's aware, what's his altitude is 77. He's pretty low. We're going to set him as a target, and now we can view his orbit 75 by 88. So, okay. I like to wait till they're about to maybe about 15 degrees. So right about, when he's right about here is where we're going to launch. So, let's go ahead and let's bring our nav ball up. I'm going to go ahead and just time accelerate forward till he gets to about that 15 degree mark. And it won't be perfect, we'll have to adjust anyway. And yeah, maybe we'll get ahead of him here. I think we probably will get ahead of him there, and which is good because we're going to end up in a higher orbit than he is. Anyway, I'm pretty terrible about about launching into a low orbital insertions. Anyway, so okay, hit T. Turn on our SAS, and we're going to throttle our main engine down to about a third here, and we're going to launch the sucker. Give it about a 5 degree lean right off the bat. towards the east. And we're just going to watch our fuel here. When our SRBs get down to 0, I like to just hit the Z and the space bar both at the same time. That's Z is going to throttle up our main engine, and the space bar is going to jettison those SRBs. Boom, just like that. Sweet. So, heading up. We're going to start just leaning over maybe a little bit. Get to that 45-degree mark. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, we don't want to go off of the plane there. We want to really stay in equatorial orbit if we can. We're going to lean it. We're above 10,000, so we're going to lean it way over. Try to get on that 45-degree. Yeah, whoop, 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 whoop. There we go. There we go. Okay, switch to our map view. We're going to have to keep an eye on that and make sure we're staying in the same plane, because we don't want to get to any kind of inclination happening here. Try to stay on that 0 degree, a 90 degree vector there. And I think we can Q and E button to twist that guy and point in the right direction. Okay, so far so good. So, and another thing, you right click on that node there until it kind of turns kind of greenish, and that will keep it on screen so you can keep an eye on it. And we're doing good, right? So far we're doing pretty good. We're slightly ahead of Megadith's capsule there, because we will end up in a higher orbit. Gravity's kind of pulling the nose down towards the horizon, which is just fine by us. As soon as we get above 70,000 meters, we will be kind of pretty much sort of in orbit. And we're already getting some sort of approach vector things popping up there. I'm going to point this down below 90 degrees there, so we can keep that from getting us any kind of inclination. And look at that, we've already got a real good close approach. Let's point this right at the horizon. In fact, I'm going to cut off the fuel right there. 106 is pretty high. That's going to come down a little bit because we're still kind of coming out of the atmosphere. Switch back to our rocket. And we've got extra fuel, but we're just going to go ahead and jettison that right now. And I think we'll throttle this up just a little bit, hit space real quick, and X just so we can establish that our engine is lit. Sometimes you have to do that in order to get the calculations to do what they need to do. And okay, we're just going to go maybe right about here and add a maneuver. See if we can. And try and circularize our orbit. We're going to have to do a normal burn. I don't know if that's normal or anti-normal. One is normal and the other is anti-normal. In order to try and circularize this orbit. And what's that going to give us? Going to give us a 95 by 77. 81 by 95 is pretty good right there. Okay, that's pretty good. We got 59 seconds and 25 seconds. We're already at the time we should be performing this burn, so let's do it real quick. And hopefully we'll get a reasonably accurate burn out of that. We were a little bit late hitting it, but that's okay. We should have plenty of fuel in this sucker. In fact, you can do this with half the fuel if you're good. If you're Scott Manley, you can practically do it with like a 12-ounce can of fuel. But we're not that good. I'm not that good anyway. And let's see. We're going to right-click on that until it gets to... Okay, 82. That's plenty good. That's plenty good. Not too bad, not too bad. We've got, what do we got? 94 by 82. So, and where are we? We're just behind Megadith, so we're going to take a little bit longer getting around. So he's going to orbit faster than we are, so he's just going to get farther and farther ahead of us. So what we're really going to have to do here, our separation at this close approach over here is 23 kilometers. Not good. We're just going to have to do a couple of orbital circuits here and let him go around ahead of us until he catches up behind us and starts to get close, and then we can do a burn for our rendezvous. I think what we're going to do is we're just going to go to the Space Center, where we can do an even faster time warp from the tracking station there. And let's take a look at our guys here. So here's what we're going to do. We are behind, so we're just going to, and you got to be careful. If you go too fast to time warp on this view here, it'll go so dang fast that you'll end up going past the part you want to go to. So he's ahead of us right now. We're going to, whoa, see, that's just too fast. You can't really keep track of it. So we're going to wait till he goes around. It's going to be several days. I don't know, maybe even a month chasing him up there, but fortunately Kerbals don't eat or drink or pee or any of that kind of stuff. So we'll just wait until he catches up kind of close in behind us. And we're still going to need a couple more orbits, I think, because we're so close to the same. Oops. There, and he just went past us. So he done passed us by. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to get ourselves over to about here, add a maneuver, and we're going to burn retrograde a little bit to bring our orbit down. 84, 85 by 81. $83.75, let's try that. Because we've got to get ourselves in a lower orbit now. And you know what, that's probably close enough. I'm not even going to wait the 55 seconds. I'm just going to go ahead and hit it. Okay. What'd that give us? We got 80 by 83 versus his 88 by, looks like 80 or 75, I don't know. Get rid of that maneuver. Get ourselves past this approach markers here. Okay, now I think we do another sort of retrograde thing, and maybe we can get something over here going on. We've got a 3.3K close approach right there. 3.2. We can do a little anti-normal burn. Maybe just that up, and then we lost it. How's that going to look for us? I think that's probably pretty good. Let's go ahead and do that. And we've got about 35 seconds for it. It is not telling us how much time we have to perform the burn, so I'm just going to go ahead and go for it. Okay. Let's delete that. And let's see if that adjusts itself once we get past these orange markers. And how's it looking? 4.5 km. Okay. Let's add a maneuver here. See if we can get that a little closer. Yeah, 2.7. If we can get under 2 kilometers, we're good. 1.8. 1.6. Did I see a 1.5 in there? Yeah, we'll go with 1.6. It's pretty good right there. Okay, and same vector. And estimated burn times, I don't know. We've got about 41 seconds until the burn. We'll just do it right on the burn. Right about maybe 1 second before. And that might have been too much, but that's okay. 1.7 cam approach. Okay, pretty good. That's going to get us there. And that's going to get us pretty close to it, I think. And we're almost matching the orbit right now. So hopefully there won't be too much drift. Let's switch to our view. There, and yeah. There he is way over there. And we're pretty much pointing straight at him right now. So, okay, let's time accelerate until we get to this close approach. And it kind of sucks we're on the far side of the planet. But that's okay. We can still do this. And where is he? Now what we want to do is we want to make sure we're switched to a target tracking here. And we want to point ourselves. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see our ship right now. But we want to start kind of getting rid of some of this sort of different drifty speed and stuff. Let's fire until we stop moving in that direction. We need to... Oh. Hard to see the orientation of our ship. See if we can cancel a little of this lateral movement here. There we go. That's looking a little better. Oh, actually I wanted to go the opposite direction there. We'll fire it upwards just a bit. And we're already kind of coming towards it. We can see we're moving towards it, so we're going to point the ass end of our ship, and you see that's our retrograde marker, and we want to push that sucker just toward it a little bit. We're approaching at about 12.8 meters per second, so we can slow her down a little bit. And yeah, if we're outside of it, we'll push that retrograde marker until it's lined right up with the pink marker there. Approaching at 7.4 meters per second. .4. Just want to make sure all that speed is down to about 0 by the time we get pretty close to it. Let's go ahead and time accelerate forward just a little bit. There we go. And let's see. About 1.8 meters per second. Let's time accelerate until we get a little closer. That's looking pretty good so far. 0.8 meters per second. And we'll just keep going until we can see her right there. Look at that. And okay. Get on the opposite side of our thing here, and we pretty much come to almost a full sort of dead stop at this point. Okay, cool, and the sun is coming up. Excellent, excellent. I'm going to orient our ship so that the doors more visible, and we're just going to come over here and click on that, and we're going to go ahead and EVA this little sucker. Whoa, hit R, turn on his RCS, and turn on his light. Megadith has now exited the craft. And this is the tricky part. I'm not real great at RCS flying. Get him pointed towards your spacecraft. We can leave his derelict there. Whoa. Okay. Let's get him coming downward a little bit. And Control key and Shift key. Yep. And already. Pretty well lined up with the door. Getting ready to hit that F key. As soon as he touches it. Oops. Come on now. Oop, wrong button, wrong goddamn button. Shift goes up. And F. Grab. There you go, you little bastard. And sweet. Let's see, is he above anything he can do in EV8 now? I guess not. We're just going to go ahead and board him into the capsule. Sweet, so most of our rescue is already done, and we're on the daylight side, so we can pretty much, just I think, double-click on this and a no target now. Deselect our target, because we don't care about his stupid derelict. And how far do we have to go? Kerbal Space Center is right over here. So I suppose we can do a nighttime landing for him. I think right now what we're going to do, checking our fuel, and yeah, we were in the dark side of Kerman right there. I'm going to get pointed on our retrograde vector and hit the E button to orientate us the way I like to, so that my controls all work in the directions I want them to work. And we're just going to time accelerate forward till we get to just about, I don't know, just about maybe over here. And where we will start doing our deorbital burn. And see if we can land this little sucker. Okay, point along our retrograde marker again. And let's see if we can get him landed as close to the Space Center as possible. Now, if we start burning retrograde, our periapsis is going to start coming down. It's eventually going to intersect the planet, but we're also going to want to, let's see, we'll go ahead and just hit Z, full throttle it. But now this isn't where we're going to land. Probably a little bit closer to like maybe here or something like that, because the friction of the atmosphere and all that good stuff. So, no, I'm going to guess right there, that's probably, I don't know, that's probably going to put us on the land, but let's see. Let's see, it would be great if we landed right on the pad. I don't know if anybody's ever done that before, but that would be pretty damn awesome for sure. Okay, switching back to our ship, and oh, look at that. We do a crew report. Now, sometimes you can get some science out of these guys. I should have done that while I was still kind of over the desert area there. But, okay, so we don't need any of this, and look at all that fuel. See, I could have brought up half as much fuel. I could have done this with a 200. And we're just going to kind of point her straight down, decouple that sucker. And, alright, point along our retrograde vector. And we can just time accelerate forward till we hit the atmosphere. We're at 73,000. As soon as we hit 70, we're going to transition into the atmosphere now. Sweet. Megadith is a crazy little motherfucker too. Look at him. Look how much he's loving this. Of course, he's just excited he's being rescued, I think. But go ahead and time accelerate forward a little bit. I'm always a little bit leery about time accelerating on re-entry, just because it is kind of, I think technically that's physics acceleration, and I don't want to burn things up. I think we can turn off our SAS right now, and this thing will orient itself aerodynamically. Sure, we've got a little bit of a wobble there, but that's probably going to be fine. 53,000, we're going to start getting some heat effects here. Sweet. Okay, there we go. Turn SAS on just for a second, just to stabilize the little sucker. And what's our orbital speed? Let's switch to surface speed. And it's increasing a little bit, but once we get a little deeper into the atmosphere, it's gonna start slowing her down. We get to the thicker part of the atmosphere. How are we doing? Are we gonna get past the Space Center? That should be the Space Center right there, that little kind of glowing thing. Can we do a crew report? I think once we get above the mountains here, we might be able to do a crew report. Let's pin this up. And our surface speed is starting to come down below 2,000 meters per second. Crew report. No. And mountains. No. I guess it's not going to give us a crew report there. Bastards. Okay, well, screw it. And there's the Space Center. Look at that. Going right underneath of us. Home delivery. How's our speed? Our speed is really coming down. We're under 17,000. So we're going to really start bleeding off some speed here. Not quite landing at the Space Center. That's okay. Just right out the front door. Alrighty. Sweet. And as soon as our parachute turns green, as soon as we get our speed under 300, I think we can deploy our parachute. Yeah, you know, we could have got that a little closer to the Space Center, but not too bad. Not too bad at all. And I think we're probably... I'm going to wait just a little bit longer. They always look nervous until you deploy the parachute. Look at him. He's thinking, is the parachute going to deploy? Oh my god. I'm still going to die. We're at about 3,000 meters. We'll go ahead and hit it. It's not going to open up until it hits about 1,000. Anyway. As soon as that thing opens up, right about now, and a big relieved smile will appear on Megadith's face. And, oh yes, Megadith is happy now. Is that a chick? I think it's a chick. I think it's a lady Kerman. Okay, Megadith. Very strange name. So yeah, just kind of a few miles off the shore of the Space Center. We'll go ahead and time accelerate until we get to splashdown here. And sweet. Safely brought Megadith Kerman back to the surface. And what did we get? We got 0 science. And we got some money back from the stuff that we got returned to us. And we've got 2 XP gained for Megadith Kerman. Ready for next assignment. Sweet. So we have added another astronaut. What do we got right now? Active Kerbals, we've got 10, max 12. Yeah, we can rescue a couple more before we need to upgrade. And what was Megadith as an engineer? So yeah, we've got all these Kerbals here. Bob and Bill haven't even been sent up into space yet. But yeah, we've got a... And look at this, her courage and stupidity is pretty good. This one right here, Dilky Kerman. Massive courage and massive stupidity. Boy, man, he's a pilot too. Now that's what you want in a pilot right there. Better than Jebediah even. That's one badass guy right there. We've got to do some flying with Dilky Kerman one of these days. So I think that's going to do it for this episode. If you enjoyed this video, please do hit that like button, rate, comment, share, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and always obey your alien overlords, or you'll be probed in your bunghole and sent into outer space to basically die up there in orbit. Speaking of which, let's get rid of this ship. Let's detonate it. Terminate. Bam. Yes. And once again, this is Alien Pet 13. Signing off. Probe you later.